Brisbane's charge towards the A-League finals continues after a 2-0 win over Wellington. And for their recap of the game, here's Fox Sports commentators Andy Harper and Simon Hill.
Well, the battle between the teams in 9th and 10th place on the ladder was always liable to be a scrap. It was a day, really, Andy Harper, when the performance wasn't as important as the result. And that's really the way it turned out, particularly for Brisbane Roar.
Yeah, well, I think that's the operative discussion here. Brisbane needed the 3 points, not the performance. They needed to mount a challenge on Newcastle, their opponents next week, who are in 6th place on 26 points. And Brisbane now, with this win, go to 24 points and they play Newcastle away next week. So they just needed to clear the cobwebs of this week after losing against Sydney, losing in Thailand, all the tumult around the club. They just needed to come out and pick up 3 points. They did that. Wellington needed the performance. And the performance from Wellington was better than the scoreboard suggests, Simon. Now, defensively, they were porous at times and midfield was a bit disorganised. But strangely, for a team that lost 2-0, they were very fluent in the front third of the pitch. And I put that down to the selection by Ricky Herbert of the 3 youngsters up front and on debut Corey Gamera, the Australian youth international. But Brisbane got their first goal through a tried and tested combination down the left, Broich to Stefanuto for Stephen Lustig's first A-League goal. And just in the second half, after Wellington retook the field and were looking to build on the positivity of the first half, Danny Sanchez, who came off the bench to replace Isaka Cernak early in that first half, coughed up possession. Luke Bratton, who was great today, back to some of his better form, put the ball on for Besart Barisha, who really finished clinically. That was the end of the scoring, not the end of the action. Wellington had more chances than the scoreboard suggests. Michael Theo was by far the busier of the 2 goalkeepers today.
It is a victory, though, that moves Brisbane up into 7th spot on the ladder, just a couple of points behind their next opponents, the Newcastle Jets. Wellington stay bottom, but as Andy says, encouraging signs perhaps for Ricky Herbert. And of course, before Steve Lustig even scored that first goal, they had one ruled out for a foul by Corey Gamera, who otherwise would have been celebrating a strike on debut. Just to finish off the chat, Andy, did you see enough in Brisbane Roar's performance today to suggest that they're maybe going to be a threat come finals time or not?
We'll learn more next Friday night. They're not the sum of their parts. We've seen what the sum of the parts of Brisbane Roar is, and that's back-to-back championships. They're quite some way off that, but they might be able to generate some momentum to get into the finals, and then confidence might take over from there. Couple of good signs. Broich and Stefanuto back in combination today. Luke Bratton better than he was in recent weeks, and the 3 points paramount for Brisbane Roar. Next Friday night's the big test for them away to Newcastle, though.
OK, as we said today, though, never mind the quality of the performance, feel the result for Brisbane.